What's up, guys? So today let's do a South Park series review. And South Park I just watched all the way through, and I've told this before in a couple other videos, like I love South Park, but a couple years ago I just kind of quit watching it. Like South Park, for a little bit I thought got kind of stale. So like in 2016-ish, 2017-ish, I just quit watching it for like 3 or 4 years. So I went back and just watched every episode from season 1 to season 23. And season 23 is the most current one. And I've also watched the Pandemic Special as well, which is not the next season, but it's the next thing that was released and the most recent thing released. So looking at South Park as a whole, basically everybody knows what this is. It's about these 4 group of kids who live in this area of South Park, Colorado, a real area where they go on wacky adventures and they learn lessons along the way while random crazy ass stuff happens. So, like I said, I don't really have to explain it. Everybody's seen South Park, people know what it is, but South Park I've loved ever since I was a kid. Like, I just think it's a great show. I think it's one of the smartest shows out there. And I like the fact that it's a show that you look at it and you don't, sometimes you see it, but a lot of the time you can see that they just like to make fun of everybody, Trey Parker and Matt Stone. And I really appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that we don't fully have a show nowadays that is completely just like cancel culture, like liberalized. Like this one, I really do like how the show can still stay consistent and still make fun of anything they want to, whether or not the media or whatever wants to not show that. And I like that. I appreciate that. I think that's awesome. And South Park, like I said, has been on for 23 seasons, and it's changed throughout the series. Like at the beginning, it was mostly just fart jokes. These kids just having fart jokes, and they're very simplistic. And as the show goes along, especially into seasons like 21 through 23, I think, or 20 to 23, they start to become very episodic, where like you have to watch the episodes like in order. And I thought that was interesting because, again, I stopped in like 2016 watching the show whenever it initially was released. So watching the rest of the series now, it's funny to see how it is fully it is fully changed and evolved throughout. And they have to do that. They have to evolve to keep consistent and keep fresh. And I really like how they did it. I really appreciate that. So basically that's all I could say about the show. Like, I love the show. It's fantastic. But I'm here to talk about my top 10 South Park episodes. And these are in no particular order. I just wrote these down as I was going through the season. So I guess this is like just random. So the first one for me, number 10, would be Super Fun Time, which is an episode where all the kids go to this old style ranch thing, and like all these people at the ranch like don't break character. And while this happens, a robbery ensues, and Butters and Cartman are off like on the other side of the street, like at a place called Super Fun Time. Not an amusement park. It's just a fun like little place for rides and stuff for kids. And the reason I put this on here was because this one, I think, is just a great Cartman and Butters episode. Like, I really think Butters is a great, like, Butters and Cartman together are great foils for each other, because Cartman's a dick. He's the one who treats everybody like crap, and he makes fun of everybody. And Butters falls for it a lot of the time, but then a lot of the time he just won't take it anymore. And I like how in this episode, Mr. Garrison tells them to hold hands because they gotta have partners so they won't get lost, these kids. And Butters just will not let go of his hand. Like, they'll hold hands the whole time, and Cartman's like, let go, and he's like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. And I like how Butters gets angry, and I think that's hilarious. Really, really funny in that regard. But just a really, really solid episode. Like, Super Fun Time, I think, is great. It's one of my favorites. And that's from season 13. And then from season 12, I got Heavy Metal, which is the episode where kids in town are starting to get high by having cats in heat urinate on their face. So Kenny, of course, out of the group, the one who does all the bad stuff, just immediately goes on that, and it becomes the movie Heavy Metal, which I have not seen, and I do want to see. I'll definitely check it out sometime. I hear people say it's not that great, but I feel like I hear like people say it's one of the first like adult animated things. Like I don't know when it came out, maybe 70s or 80s, but oh, it is not called Heavy Metal. I wrote Heavy Metal, but I think it's called Major Boobage because everything in this imaginary world that Kenny hallucinates in is boobs, and it's literally everything is boobs. Every foundation is boobs. Every person is that. Like they've all got boobs, and it's genuinely funny, especially to see that from a point of view of like a little kid doing this like imaginary like fantasy thing. Like that's really funny. And I don't know if the movie Heavy Metal is like that. I know that you got the girl with the big boobs in Heavy Metal, but I wonder if there's like any, like a lot of just imagery of that throughout, as opposed to this. I wonder if it's the same, but I thought it was really genuinely funny. And I like the subplot too, where Cartman has his cat, Mr. Kitty, and he's up in the attic, protecting him, like pretending he's Anne Frank, because all the cats are getting taken away because of course all the kids are getting high on cat pee. So that alone just is great, like that subplot and just the main plot of Kenny. And I really like Kenny as a character, and I wish that, like, it's weird throughout the series, like he's got his episodes for sure. He's definitely got episodes that he is prevalent in, but he's always the weakest link out of all the kids, out of all 4 of them. And even counting Butters, like 5 of them. But Kenny, he has some great episodes, but I really like this one. I think he's so funny in this episode. Like I said, Kenny needs more spotlight, but I think that this is a great episode to show that. So that was number 9, Heavy Metal, or Major Boobage. And then number 8 is Butters' very first episode, which is episode it's the last episode of season 5. Yeah, it's the last episode of season 5 because Kenny dies, and then season 6 is all about the gang and Butters because Kenny's dead for a whole season. But Butters' very first episode is one of my favorites. It's one of the most funniest episodes because, again, it perfectly encapsulates Butters and the way that Butters is so like he doesn't really think. Like he's just a little kid who doesn't know what's going on. And I think that really works perfectly in this episode where he has a dad who's going to gay bars and gay spas, and then he tells his mom, not realizing what it is, and then his mom tries to kill him. Like she literally puts him in a car, puts the car in neutral, and then just watches it go into the river. Like, of course he lives, but that idea alone is so funny. And all Butters wants is to go to Bennigan's, this restaurant where he's just excited to go. And that's his whole purpose of this episode. He wants to go to Bennigan's. He wants to go back to meet his parents because, of course, his mom tries to drown him. And then he goes, like the car goes onto the edge, and then he goes into this forest where you meet the guy from Pet Sematary. The guy who says, yeah, you don't want to go down that road. That guy. Like, and all of those jokes really work in this context. Like, just, I love how they do this in South Park. Like, they can bring a lot of references to stuff, but I feel like it works really well overall in the story. Like, it connects. Unlike something like Family Guy, which I still enjoy Family Guy a lot, but it's more just like, hey, remember whenever I did this thing? Like, kind of like that. And South Park makes fun of that in a couple episodes. But this episode is just so great. And I just love how it's centered around Butters. It's just such a funny, hilarious episode. And then number 7 would be Breast Cancer Show Ever. And this was from season 12. Now, this is the episode where Wendy Testerberger she's talking in class about breast cancer. And Cartman, of course, being Cartman, laughs it up, thinks it's hilarious, and she gets pissed off. And then as the episode goes along, he keeps getting her more into trouble because he keeps acting like she's bullying him when all she did was tell him, like, don't make fun of breast cancer, it's a serious thing. But Cartman, of course, being Cartman, does not understand that. And I think it's really funny. I like the joke where Butters, like, Cartman is gonna get beat up by Wendy, and he he knows he's gonna get beat up, but he says like, I'm gonna still kick her ass, Wendy. Like he knows he's gonna get beat up by her. And then I love that conversation where Cartman is with all his friends at the table at lunch, and Butters says, yeah, if you got beat up by a girl, yeah, people would call you a little faggot. Like, it's funny like that. Like, it's a cruel thing to say. It's a cruel thing to say, but I think it's so funny because it comes from Butters, a kid who does not understand what he's saying. And I like that he has this little smile, like he thinks he's so proud of himself that he said this thing. Even though it's a cruel word, it's so funny to watch that. That's a really great joke with Butters. Like, I just love when Butters says something really inappropriate, but he's so proud of it. And that's one of my favorite Butters jokes. And I feel like this has some of the best payoff episodes, like overall, with Cartman, because people hate Cartman in a way where he always almost wins. Like, he's always a piece of shit, and he always tries to win every time. And whenever he tells Wendy, like he purposely gets Wendy at another fight where she's trying to fight him still. And then I love this payoff because Wendy goes to Principal Victoria, and Principal Victoria says, "Did you know I had breast cancer?" And she said, "Ma'am?" And Principal Victoria just says, "Yes, I had breast cancer. It's a horrible, evil little thing. And what you do with the breast cancer is you beat it up, you destroy it." Of course, she's talking about Cartman. She's like, "You've got to destroy this. You've got to stand up for yourself, no matter what." And I really thought that was a cool payoff to just that build-up of Cartman being that horrible and watching these characters take a stand against him. That was great. And that fight that she and Cartman have, Cartman, of course, tries to get out of it, but he can't. And then he just literally tries to hit her, and then she punches him straight in the face, and he's down and bleeding. And then she just beats him up like all over and just keeps bawling, and he's just bawling and getting destroyed. And I love that she just wins and kicks his ass because it's so rewarding with that. Having Cartman get thwarted is some of the best stuff in South Park. It makes it so rewarding, especially for that character, because you just can't stand some things that he does. But I really love that. And I really love how Cartman in the end is so delusional, where he says that that whenever he gets beat up by a girl, he just thinks that all his friends are not going to like him, but then he realizes, oh, you guys love me, like, you guys still love me no matter what, and they're like, no, we hate you, and he's like, you're quit saying that, you're making me feel bad on purpose. Like, joke, like, that's so funny, because Cartman, as the show goes along, is just such a delusional character. Again, really great episode, Breast Cancer Show, ever. That's a great title, too. So number 6 would be Crippled Summer. And Crippled Summer is from season 14. And from season 14, I almost put the Coon Saga, the superhero episodes with Cartman and everybody. But I decided to put this one because this one I laughed at so hard. This is the episode where it's Timmy and Jimmy at the summer camp for mental retarded kids, and they've got this guy named Nathan and Nathan's thug Mimsy, this big guy or big kid, and like Nathan tries to thwart Jimmy because he hates him by doing all this stuff, but every time he does it, Mimsy does the wrong thing and gets Nathan hurt. Like for example, Nathan will get a black mamba, which if you know what a black mamba is, it can kill you by just biting you once. Like if you're not sent to the hospital in like 20 minutes, you could die, depending on where it bites you. But he of course gets a black mamba, tries to put it in Jimmy's canoe whenever they're canoe racing, but then of course it goes into Nathan's because Mimsy put it in the wrong one. Or whenever Nathan gets the whistle for sharks to have a shark come and attack Jimmy. But then it, of course, attacks Nathan and humps him like crazy. And I really think that all those jokes are really funny. And I like how, it's so mean to say, but I like how the retarded kids are like the Looney Tunes characters. Like, there's one guy who's Elmer Fudd. Literally, he's like, I bet we're going to win the big race. Like, there's literally characters that are from Looney Tunes in this episode, like, as retarded kids. And it's really funny. It's great. And the side plot is one of my favorites. It's equal to the regular plot, but this is a Tally episode where Tally has to get off drugs. Like, he is literally just breaking apart. Like, he is destroying himself over all of this, every single hard drug he does. And Tally is just one of my favorite characters in South Park. Like, the stoner characters are always funny and stuff, but oh my god, like, this is one of my favorite Tally things. I like how Tally is literally, this character is just so wasted and destroyed, and his reactions to stuff are funny, where, like, he'll get computer duster from, like, a Best Buy or something because he inhales it, like, to get high, and this lady checking him out says, "Oh, you must have one, dust a computer," and then he goes, "Fuck you, it's not illegal, bitch," like that, and then he just runs away, and then goes and huffs a computer duster, and he just gets so high and destroyed. And I like how the episode is just a intervention thing, where, like, it's showing the title cards where, like, it says Tally has done drugs for whatever, how many years. Like, I like how it does that, and it also does it with the A-plot, with Jimmy and Nathan and all them. So I think that's really hilarious. And I really just loved everything about this episode. And I love, too, that Tally has a little baby, but it's a little washcloth. And they have the intervention at the end where it's all four of the boys, and they're trying to get them off drugs. And, of course, they bring in Washcloth with it, which doesn't even speak. This washcloth is just a washcloth. It doesn't speak like Tally, but they bring in Washcloth as the final intervention. And I guess Tally's fine, but then of course he does drugs again after this episode. But I like how this episode felt like it resolved it, but it still went on. Like, Tally, of course, got high in the rest of the show because you had the Tegrity Farms thing in season 21 and 22, or season 22 and 23. But Crippled Summer, I just think, is one of my favorites. I really laugh out loud at this one. Then I lost track of the numbers, but it's a Jersey thing. It's a Jersey thing. I've never, ever watched Jersey Shore. So if you ask me, I've never seen it. In terms of, like, the jokes for this episode, I still, even though I didn't know the content of it, I still laugh my ass off. This is such a great episode. So at South Park, all the people from Jersey start moving there, and then the whole U.S., or most of the U.S., starts becoming just Jersey, because all these people with spray-on tans, that with biceps, or women with big breasts come in, and all these, and they talk Jersey. They're, of course, Jersey characters, but all these superficial-looking people, guys and girls, just come in and start causing fights and start wrecking shit. And I think it's funny because I've never seen Jersey Shore, but I know that it's about people who just go and fight each other a lot, like a reality show, like Kardashians or something. But I thought it was really, really funny. And I liked how Kyle and his mom have a Jersey, or hereditary Jersey gene. So, like Kyle's mom becomes spray tan, and she just looks like a Jersey person. And then Kyle, of course, starts to look like, I don't know what their names are, but like those characters in the show, in the Jersey Shore show. And then they have Snooki, which I know only by name, but I haven't seen the show, but Snooki is this little rabbit creature, and she says she wants smosh smosh, which is just sex, I guess. And, like, she goes and humps, like, anybody who is there, like little kids, whatever. And, like, there's a scene in the dark where, like, all the kids are like Snooki's in the room somewhere, and, like, they use the flashlight and turn it, and it's like humping Hartman, and they're like, "It's raping me," and it's just Snooki saying, "Snooki wants smosh smosh." Like, that's really great humor, and I really laugh out loud in this episode, especially the Snooki thing. That's what makes it so funny, because I've seen what she looks like in real life, and it just cracks me up how that's what it is, a little rabbit creature thing. But it's a Jersey thing, really, really funny. Oh, I guess I did put a Coon episode on here. So I did put Coon versus Coon and Friends. This is the one, because there's like 4 or 5 Coon episodes, or superhero episodes throughout the series, where Cartman is the Coon, and Kenny is Mysterion, and they break up, because Cartman's being a douche, like usual. And I really just like this episode because Cartman summons Cthulhu, and he tries to wreak havoc while the other kids have to save the day. But Cartman does it like a Pepe Le Pew thing, where like he's trying to entice the Cthulhu to become friends. So like he does the thing that Pepe Le Pew does, or not Pepe Le Pew. It's the cat character that like goes in Looney Tunes that goes and just scratches on the back and then sits down and purrs on Cthulhu. Like it's really a great joke. And watching anime, like I didn't realize this when I first watched South Park because I didn't watch this before, but they have the song, the Totoro song from My Neighbor Totoro, but it's just Cthulhu, Cthulhu, and that's great. That's so hilarious. But Coon vs. Coon and Friends is really one of the best. It's awesome. And then Return. Okay, so I'm gonna say more than 10 because I think I wrote more, but improvising here. The next one is Return of the Fellowship of the Two Towers. Now, Return of the Fellowship of the Two Towers is from season 6, where they are basically playing Lord of the Rings, or they are playing Lord of the Rings, all the kids, and Butters' parents get a tape for Butters, Lord of the Rings, because Butters never seen it, and then they get it from Stan's parents, Randy and Sharon, but then Randy and Sharon realize that they switched the Lord of the Rings tape with a porn. I forgot what the porn name was, but it was really funny. But they switch it out with a porn. Oh, it's Backdoor Sluts 9. That's what the porn was called. They switch out the porn with Lord of the Rings, so Butters starts watching the porn, and he becomes like Gollum. Like, the kids take the porn away, because they don't even think about it. They take it away, and Butters is like, my precious, my precious. And that alone is hilarious. And season 6 is a Butters-centric season because Kenny's dead for the whole season. But that's one of the best uses of Butters. It's so hilarious. And the joke whenever Cartman and everybody are going along the streets just trying to find something, and then they see kids playing Harry Potter, and then Cartman's like, what are you kids doing? And they're like, we're playing Harry Potter. And then he just goes, ha, fags. Like, that's again, really funny because it's just so mean. And those kids are just like, oh, like they're just so, they look so sad. But that's a great episode as well. Again, and then at the end, whenever the tape is put in the Blockbuster box, like in the slot, then you see in there Butters just holding it. He's like, my precious, my precious. And I'm like, that's a great way to end the episode. That's perfect. Really, really awesome episode. And then this is an episode that I did not expect to be on this list. So, this is from season 23. And I don't have any episodes season 15 on this list of like my favorite South Park episodes. So this episode is called One for the Ladies, and South Park season 23 did a lot of episodes where it was about specific characters. Like one was about Scott Malkinson. Like they just did characters like randomly, just single episodes about them. And this is about all the ladies of South Park. So it's like Kyle's mom, Butters' mom, Craig's mom. So Kyle's mom, Sheila, she is sick, and then she gets a transplant from like in her anus from poop from somebody else, and she becomes all better, and all the women get mad at her, and they make it to where they try to get her poop to anally insert in them to make them not be sick anymore because they've got a sickly disease. And that alone was such a great funny idea. But it even gets better because then you realize that this poop is to cure everybody, like people will be cured. But then you realize that the main person who has the best poop in the world that'll cure anybody is Tom Brady. And Tom Brady has like a secret room where like it opens up and like there's glasses of poop everywhere. But they call it the spice, and then it becomes like Dune, where like they use the spice to use as gain for something. And I think that's so funny. It's such a great joke. And it just genuinely surprised me. Like I said, I've got no episodes from season 15 on that are on this list besides this one. So I'm glad that I found an episode that I really love. This one was so funny and so hilarious, and just the ideas were so insane. And then I've got a couple a couple honorable mentions. So, I forgot what the episode was called, but it's the one with Kanye West where you like fish sticks, that joke, and then Kanye West is like, I ain't no gay fish. And like in the end he goes and sings the song, is it Heartless? But instead it's called Gay Fish, like, is you know that I'm a gay fish. Like, that's really funny. And just having him be like Aquaman in the end is really hilarious. And the joke is funny because Kanye West is such an arrogant prick. Like, that I wouldn't be surprised if in real life he was like this. Like, oh, I don't understand the joke, so I'm going to get pissed off. Because Kanye West is arrogant. So, that's a funny episode. I really wanted to put that on there, but it's just honorable mention. And then two more, the last two I'm going to talk about. Scott Tenorman Must Die from season 5. So it's where Cartman gets tricked by Scott Tenorman, this older kid who sells him pubes, his own Scott Tenorman's pubes, and then Cartman tries to get him back the whole episode, but he keeps failing. And then you realize at the end that Cartman killed his parents, Scott Tenorman's parents, ground them up into chili, made a chili cook-off, and then made Scott Tenorman eat his parents. And then Scott Tenorman cries, and then Cartman says, I'm gonna lick your tears, and then it ends with the Looney Tunes style, where Cartman just goes, that's all, folks, and then it just ends that way. That's one of my favorite episodes, too, because of how cruel it is, how Cartman just is some of the most insane Cartman moments are in this episode. Scott Tenorman Must Die. It's really one of the best. I wanted to put it on there so bad, but honorable mention. And then the other one is Tally, because again, Tally in Crippled Summer, one of my favorite Tally episodes. The episode Tally, where he's introduced, is really awesome because it's just about the kids getting this Okama Game Spear, which is just a game system that like is made up for the show, but they want to get the Okama Game Spear, they get it, but then there's a government thing where like they're taken away because Tally keeps visiting them, and they're like, we don't want to deal with you, but Tally's part of some government thing, and the kids are taken on a trip with Tally where they just want to go home and play video games. And I think that just alone is a great idea. And everything Tally says, just the first time you see Tally in the show is this episode, and it's so funny. I just love how he just keeps getting high, and it's so simple. It's such a simple joke, but he keeps getting high, and he's like they're trying to figure something out. He's like, okay, let me get a little high, and then he gets high, and then he just sits there, and he's all high, and then they're like, well, what is it? And then Tally's like, what's what? And they're like, oh, god damn it, like he's too high again. And I like how Tally has this enemy that's just like him, but it's like the bigger, badder version of Tally. Like, it's a towel with muscles. And in the end, all they have to do is have the towel fall off of a breaking bridge in the side of the building, where like the other towel just slowly falls down like a towel like this, just into the lava. And then you get a good Kenny death, where Kenny dies in the lava too. But I just love every joke from Tally in this episode. It's one of the best. It's one of my absolute favorite episodes. Just every time he says, you want to get high? Like, it's so funny. And I like how Tally is the dumbest idea ever. And they say it a lot, Matt and Trey. It is the dumbest idea ever, but it's hilarious. And it cracks me up every time with Tally. He's one of my favorite characters in any like comedy show. But that is it. 10 episodes and 3 honorable mentions. There's even more episodes I could talk about. Like, I could talk about the episode where there's minorities in the water park, and like there's a P level where like it becomes a pandemic, like episodes like that. Or even like, man, there's so many episodes I could talk about, but these ones I mentioned are my favorites. Like, I just rewatching this series and watching the newer seasons, there were so many great episodes. But that's pretty much it. I'm gonna stop here because I really did like talking about this. I'm glad I did. And I'm getting close to 30 minutes, so I might as well just quit now, because all I've got to say I think I've said. So that's it. If you guys have any favorite South Park episodes down below, tell me what yours are, and I'll talk to you guys later.